Welcome to the deep dive. We've got quite a stack of sources today.
We do.
And they're all pointing towards something, well, pretty surprising about learning English fluency.
That's right. We're diving into material making a really bold claim that listening might actually be the only skill you fundamentally need to get fluent.
Yeah, forget the usual advice, right? Like endless grammar drills, speaking from day one.
Or memorizing massive vocab lists out of context.
Exactly. These sources seem to cut through all that. They suggest it boils down to one core idea. Everything important just flows from training your ears.
And our mission here really is to unpack how and why listening is presented this way in the material, to pull out the key insights for you.
Okay, let's get into it. What's the core principle the sources are hitting on? They mentioned the brain learning through sound first.
Exactly. I mean, think about babies, right? They spend months, maybe even years, just soaking it all in, listening, long before they say much that's clear.
So our brains are just wired for that. Auditory input first.
That's the idea. And these sources really hammer home how this deep, consistent listening builds fluency almost automatically.
How so? Like picking up pronunciation.
Yeah, you start hearing how things actually sound, not just textbook pronunciation.
And grammar too, without studying rules.
Subconsciously, yes. You start absorbing the patterns. Plus, you hear real life phrases, the stuff people actually say, not just what's in lesson one.
Okay, this is interesting. The sources claim that if you just expose your brain to enough real English.
Through listening.
Right, through listening, it just starts copying those patterns.
Yeah, that's the fascinating part they describe, this conscious recognition, this imitation. It apparently makes speaking feel much more natural later on. Almost effortless.
Like downloading the languages feel.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Directly into your brain's operating system, so to speak.
Okay, get this. There was one specific factoid in the material that really stood out.
Oh, yeah. What was that?
It claimed just 30 minutes of focused daily listening can help you grow your vocabulary, wait for it, 2 times faster than using flashcards alone.
Wow, 2 times. That really highlights the efficiency they're attributing to learning by ear, doesn't it?
It does.
And they argue that by constantly hearing correct English, your brain sort of auto-corrects potential mistakes you might make later when you speak.
So other skills like speaking or writing.
They're presented as flowing much more easily after you've built this strong listening foundation. It all starts with the ears, according to this material.
Right. So it's clearly not just about, having English music playing while you work.
Definitely not.
These sources make a really sharp distinction between just hearing English and actually listening.
Yeah, and that distinction seems crucial to their whole argument. Lots of learners hear English all the time.
But maybe aren't engaging properly.
Exactly. Not in the way this material suggests drives real fluency.
So how do they break down that difference? What is the difference?
Well, they talk about 2 main ways to listen. First, there's what they call passive listening.
Okay.
That's when you've got English audio on, but your main focus is somewhere else. Maybe you're walking, cooking on the bus, that kind of thing.
So like background exposure, is it even useful?
They say it is, yeah.
Yeah.
It helps your brain get familiar with the rhythm, the intonation, the sort of flow of English. Especially good for beginners, just getting comfortable with the sounds.
Okay. And the second type, the more important one.
That's active listening. This is where you're really tuned in, giving the audio your full attention. You're listening for something specific.
Right. And what does that look like in practice? What actions do they suggest?
Things like pausing after a sentence to let it sink in, or repeating what you hear out loud. They often call that shadowing.
Shadowing. Yeah, you mentioned that. That seems like a really key technique they focus on.
It is. They really emphasize this active, focused approach as where the real fluency work happens.
Yeah.
It builds, they argue, both mental and physical muscle memory for the language.
Training your ears and mouth together.
Precisely.
Okay, so let's make this practical. How do the sources say we should actually do this active listening? What are the strategies?
They suggest starting small. Don't overwhelm yourself. Maybe just a 2-minute clip from a podcast or a short scene from a show.
Okay.
And the goal is just to actively tune in. Try to consciously catch specific words or phrases.
And what if you miss something or hear something interesting?
Yeah, they have this 10-second rewind rule. Hear something good or confusing, hit rewind, listen to just that bit maybe 3 times.
And
Then try saying it yourself. Mimic the speaker.
so that's shadowing applied right in the moment.
Exactly. And they also suggest simple note-taking during these focus sessions. Just jot down a new phrase you liked.
Keep it simple. They also talked about a 3-level listening method. Can you unpack that based on the material?
Sure. So this method, according to the Zumpses, is about focusing your active listening effort. Level 1 is the basics. Just listen for the gist, the main idea.
Big picture only.
Right. Then, once you can do that, you move to level 2. This is listening specifically for those key phrases, linking words, filler words.
Like sort of, kind of thing.
Exactly. The little bits that make speech sound natural and connected.
Okay. And level 3?
Level 3 is about noticing grammar in action. Not the rules, but how structures are actually used.
Like hearing he's been working versus he worked.
Precisely. Hearing it used correctly, naturally, again and again, helps you internalize when and why to use it without memorizing charts. It's learning grammar by osmosis, almost.
Okay, that makes sense. A different angle on grammar. Now, the sources also laid out a kind of daily listening routine, didn't they? A blueprint.
Yeah, a 5-step process they outlined. Step 1, choose a topic you genuinely find interesting. Love, even.
Motivation, travel, comedy.
Yeah.
Whatever floats your boat.
Exactly. Because if you're bored, you won't stick with it. And consistency is everything here, according to these sources.
Why? Makes sense. Step 2.
Commit to a specific time block daily. They suggest maybe 10-15 minutes, or perhaps 15-30 minutes. The key is daily. Consistency over cramming.
Okay, short but regular. Got it. Step 3.
Shadow. That technique again. Repeat what you hear out loud. Copy the tone, the speed, the rhythm. They literally call it a workout for your ears and mouth.
Building that muscle memory again.
Yep. Step 4. Write down just 3 new words or phrases you heard. Only 3.
That feels very doable. Not overwhelming.
Do the point, they suggest. Keep it manageable.
Yeah.
And finally, step 5. Try to use one of those 3 new phrases in a real chat maybe, or just record yourself saying it.
Actively using it cements it. Okay. They also mentioned a 30-day listening challenge structure.
Right, is another way to get started and build the habit. It's structured to gradually increase the difficulty.
How so?
Like, maybe week 1 is 20 minutes a day of slower, clearer English. Week 2 adds 10 minutes of native speed stuff. Week 3 might focus on audio only, no visuals. And week 4 starts integrating a bit of shadowing each day.
A gradual ramp up. Smart. Okay, what about what to listen to? Choosing the right material seems critical.
Absolutely. The main advice is start with stuff you can mostly understand. They mentioned kids shows, Peppa Pig came up, or beginner podcasts.
Don't dive into the deep end immediately.
Exactly. And subtitles, useful at first, maybe, but the sources are very clear. You need a plan to ditch them gradually. Train your ears, not your eyes.
Right, don't let them become a crutch.
Definitely. Also, mix it up. Don't just listen to learner materials. You need variety. News for formal language, movies for casual chat, YouTubers for slang.
Get your ear used to different styles.
Yeah, real-world variety. They even gave specific examples. Easy British English, coffee break English for starters. Then maybe TED Talks even suggesting 1.25x speed to push yourself. Or audio articles from places like The Guardian.
And for more advanced stuff.
Things like British panel shows, Would I Lie to You, was mentioned. Or fast podcasts like the Joe Rogan Experience. Stuff that's authentic, fast, really tests your comprehension.
Okay, lots of options. But the most crucial advice on content.
It loops back to step 1 of the routine. Pick what you love. Seriously. Music, true crime, Marvel movies, whatever keeps you engaged. Interest fuels consistency. Consistency fuels fluency. That's the message.
That feels really practical. Now, what about pitfalls? What common mistakes do the sources warn against?
A few big ones. First, relying on subtitles 24/7. We mentioned it, but they stress it. You have to wean yourself off them.
Got it. Train the ear.
Second, only listening to content made for learners. It's helpful, but you need real-world stuff, too, to handle actual conversations.
Prepare for reality.
Exactly. And the third big one, quitting when it gets hard, when you feel confused.
Which happens a lot when learning a language.
Totally. But the sources say that confusion is actually a good sign. It means your brain is stretching, working, growing. It's part of the process, not a reason to stop.
That's a powerful way to reframe difficulty. Okay, so summing up the potential payoff, if someone really commits to this listening first approach described in the sources, what can they expect?
Well, the material suggests the results can be pretty dramatic. Understanding spoken English much faster, for one.
Okay.
Your own speaking becomes smoother, more natural sounding. And you start actually thinking in English, not constantly translating in your head.
And the big one, fluency.
They suggest that by really focusing on listening this way, you could reach a high level of fluency potentially in months rather than years.
Hello. It really brings us back to that core claim, doesn't it? Training your ears is your superpower here.
That's the perspective, yeah. The idea is your speaking ability naturally emerges and improves because of that solid listening base. It's about more listening, not more pressure to speak perfectly right away.
Letting fluency kind of find you.
Exactly.
Yep.
Letting it build naturally through all that input.
And tracking progress, like noticing you understand a bit more this week, seems key for motivation too.
Definitely. It shows you the system they're outlining is actually working for you.
So wrapping up this deep dive, the main takeaway from all this material seems crystal clear. Your ears really are presented as the primary gateway to English fluency.
Start there. Prioritize listening. Listen with focus. Repeat what you hear. Those seem to be the core actions they advocate.
Right. And maybe a final thought for you, the listener, based on all this. If fluency really does start primarily with your ears and not with forcing your mouth to work before it's ready, what does that fundamentally change about how you look at learning English?